And now we will have Commissioner Suarez, who will be delivering some closing remarks. Commissioner Suarez.
Really feels good. But I don't want to get emotional, so not just yet. Mr. Secretary Carroll, I love the reference to freedom, opportunity, and hope. And that's what the United States is about. Ms. Grogan, Madam Director, Anushka, where are you? My daughter's name is Annie. We call her Anushka, so that works real nice. And Lourdes, where's Lourdes? Lourdes has been working on me and my staff for the last week to make sure that I'm here on time and ready to speak to you. And also, and another celebration that we have downstairs, which I will get a chance to introduce some of my staff members. One of my staff members in particular, who happens to be the daughter of the granddaughter of the last constitutionally elected president of Cuba, of Carlos Prios Socarrás, Sarah Odio. There she is. I won't introduce the rest of my staff, but I want you to know they were all here, most of them. Evan is missing out there somewhere. And we have one honorary member of my staff today, Elizabeth, who graces us with her presence here downtown, and is one of the most, she's only like 12, you know, you'd think she's ready to go to college or something. And Bernardo, I have to tell you that I love the way you did the Pledge of Allegiance, and there was one part where you said, "And to the Republic, sorry," and I almost repeated, "And to the Republic, sorry." But I know you were just apologizing, so I had a presence of mind. I'm not going to speak for a long time. I know you've got a million things to do today, as we all do. But I myself am a citizen of the United States by choice. And Ella was reminding me of the importance of that, because it didn't fall on me to be a citizen. It was something that I chose, as you had done. And in a sense, it's a more important way to be part of a country and to be a member of the United States of America. When I first arrived from Cuba, I didn't come to live in Miami. I went to live in Washington, D.C., but I spent 3 days in Miami. And the first Sunday, we went to church, and two things became clear to me. One is when they passed the collection basket, my older sister put a penny in there, un centavo, and I said, "Oh my God, we're really hurting." And the other thing is, I heard the priest and the readings and so on, and I didn't understand a word that was being said, and I thought, "Oh my God, I'm really in trouble. I have no money in this country, and I don't understand the language. This is not a good start." But because of the opportunities that I received, I managed to get a great education, mostly with scholarships and loans, and ultimately, like President Obama, got a degree from Harvard Law School. I did not, however, make it to the law review, so the president's got one on me there. You have to have incredible grades. As I then progressed in my studies of the English language, which I strongly recommend to you, as someone that from 17 different countries, I understand, people will be looking to see if your last name ends in EZ like mine, they'll know that you're probably an immigrant. And they'll wait to see what mistakes you make. So when I started learning the English language, I had a pocket dictionary, and literally in my pocket, you know, one of the small dictionaries. And when people would say a word that I didn't understand, I would say, hold it. What is that? Let me look it up. Don't tell me. I'm still looking up words 50 some years later. I won't say exactly how many years later, but And then I correct people. Recently, a member of my staff said, between you and I, and I said, well, I'm just a Cuban refugee, but it's supposed to be between you and me, So lawyers and people who have PhDs are always saying between you and I. They think it sounds more fancy, and more subtle, but it's actually incorrect. Another one I used to love, one of my fellow commissioners in the city of Miami, when I was mayor of the city, would say, irregardless. And I would say, well, I'm just a refugee, but there is no such word. The word is regardless, And so on. I could go on and on about the mistakes that people made. It is important for you as a citizen that maybe grew up speaking another language. I think most of you, as I look out there, and as I heard the 17 countries that you represent, probably spoke a different language initially, to try to speak the English language as well, as so that we can correct the ones that were born here, and they won't correct us all the time. When I went to take my exam, I was all prepared, as I'm sure you all were, and I'm thinking of telling you another story of Tia Chela when she took the exam, which is kind of funny, but I wanted to make sure that the dignitaries that were here were sort of regular folks that I could tell a story like that. But my story was very simple. I had memorized everything, I was in the middle of my law school studies, and when I got to my exam, it was at the end of the day, and the examiner said, it's been a long day for me, so I don't, want to take too much time on this. Just give me the 3 branches of government. And I said, that is really disappointing. I am in the midst of writing a law review article, which was published in the law review. See, I did one thing that Obama did not do. And it was published in my alma mater, Villanova Law Review, on separation of powers and separation of those 3 powers. And here is this gentleman asking me, what are the 3 branches of government? I said, well, I'm doing a law review article on that. So I said, don't you have any harder questions? He goes, well, like what? I said, well, I memorized all the presidents of the United States, from number 1 to 36 at the time. He says, really? Well, I'm not gonna frustrate you. Go ahead and give them to me. So I did all 36. But the story of Tia Chela is really worth telling, okay? I'm gonna try to do this as delicately as I can. Tia Chela is actually, it's not Tia Chela, it's Tia Nena, Tia Chela's sister, who is mostly deaf, or almost totally deaf, and doesn't see very well either. So she goes to take the exam. My wife goes with her, of course. My wife is a teacher, but she's also kind of an interpreter, and she feels that she can walk into any exam like this for a citizenship and do her part. And so the gentleman walks out and says, Valentina Guzman, whatever. Nobody stands up. My wife says, Nena, that's you. And she goes, oh. Yes, Valentina Presentación Guzman. I think that was it. Valentina Presentación. So then they take her into the room. My wife follows her, and the examiner says, you can't come in here. And she goes, well, she's practically blind, almost totally deaf. She needs my help. So they walk in there, and she says, okay, go ahead and come in with me, with her. And then, so they ask her, Presentación, where do you live? She goes, what? ¿Qué? She goes, my wife says, Nena, where do you live? And she goes, oh, Hialeah. So then she goes, Presentación, what is your address? ¿Qué? What is your, and my wife says, what is your address? She goes, oh, Hialeah. Well, they kind of gave up on the address, and then he goes, okay, one last question. Presentación, who is the President of the United States? ¿Qué? And my wife says, Nena, who is the President of the United States? And she goes, oh, the President of the United States, Xavier Suarez. So the examiner goes, you really have her well trained. I am going to pass her. She The examiner happened to be the brother of Father Jose Luis Menendez, very well known to us, and hopefully that won't get him excluded now from being an examiner in the future after I told that story and identified him. I'm very emotional when it comes to citizenship ceremonies, and so I try not to get too emotional, but I do want to end with a couple of quotes. And one is from Jose Marti about what la patria means, an adopted fatherland in this case, and I'm going to read it in Spanish and then my own translation in English. And the other one is from Martin Luther King, and I will end with that one. Jose Marti said, "Patria es comunidad de intereses, unidad de tradiciones, unidad de fines, fusión dulcísima y consoladora de amores y esperanzas." Freely translated by me. You can't translate things literally because it doesn't work, okay? Our country is built on a community of interests, a unity of purpose, a most sweet and consoling fusion of our loves and our hopes. Very well stated by a great writer and poet, patriot of my home country. And then I want to end by sharing a thought from Martin Luther King, which I have memorized, so I don't have to read it. He said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. You have become American citizens today, and you have to take that flag to all parts of the world, even defending the country if you have to. It's only following a tradition of many, many centuries, many, many years, and really centuries in which the U.S. has gone everywhere in the world. One time, I'll end with this story. I hadn't planned on this, but it just struck me as being very relevant. Colin Powell was Secretary of State and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff before that. One time in Europe, they said, well, you know, the U.S. has intervened in many wars, and it seems like, you know, you all want a piece of Europe, and, you know, you have imperialist ideas. And he said, no, let me tell you something. The only thing we want by way of your land for all the countries that we have helped to liberate is enough space so we can bury the dead. That was Colin Powell. Ladies and gentlemen, you're now Americans. We have to defend this country. God bless you all.